Stephen Dupuis with the Edison Neighborhood Association and more speaks to the vast number of projects that support his community.
Well, today I'm talking with Stephen Dupuis, who is the artistic director at Dormouse Theater, and he's also the executive director at the Edison Neighborhood Association. What else are you? I know you're a lot of things. You wear a lot of hats.
I'm a partner. I'm a dog dad, and I'm all of that wonderful stuff as well. Yeah, I'm just a lover of Kalamazoo, bit of an activist, somewhat outspoken sometimes, an advocate for sure. Yeah, that's probably enough. Yeah.
You wear lots of hats, like I said. So when you think about the Edison neighborhood, to me, it's really vibrant. But how would you describe the neighborhood?
I always think of it as really urban and really rich culturally. A lot of neighborhoods can be really segregated in terms of where you find the culture. But Edison, it's really weaves throughout.
The vibe for me that I get, people are into the arts. You have a lot of artists and budding artists in the Edison neighborhood. Why do you think that is?
Well, and first and foremost, it's still one of the most affordable places to live. And when you think about artists, like I think about me, I'm a starving artist sometimes. And I think, that culture piece plays into that as well. I think that inspires artists to have that around them.
And so you've put on a lot of different events. The Edison Neighborhood Association has been a part of or supported or put them on themselves. What are some of those events?
We do a community social every month, and that's the last Saturday of the month, and we theme that differently and partner up with different folks. We just did a bike-barbecue with Open Roads and an organization called Mode Shift, which advocates for, biking and walkability. We have been doing bucket drumming with Carolyn Coble, and that has been really cool.
But you also do this other event that I think is so much fun. It's the quarterly art crawl.
Yes, we call it WAC because it is the Washington Avenue Arts and Culture Crawl. And I want to point out that it's Arts and Culture Crawl. There's a map for that, and there's a very specific route to take, and we're connecting, like the strategic, boring part about it, the back end of it is that we're connecting different business nodes in the neighborhood. Anybody could drive there, but the map that we're using is about biking and walking and getting people sort of more comfortable getting out and just walking around.
Yeah, and you get to visit with some of the owners of the stores, and you're out there, with your community. You have your hands, as I said, earlier, into so many different things. I mean, you definitely have your pulse on the neighborhood. Dormouse Theater is really a big place for you. You're the artistic director there, right?
Yes.
So
yeah.
What does that entail? And tell me about what the Dormouse Theater brings to the neighborhood.
Wow. Well, so the Dormouse, that's obviously my passion project. And to me it's like a lot of things where it's changed and evolved. I feel like I set up a lot of goals for myself, and I accomplished a lot of those goals. And then it has evolved into more of a space where multiple artists, different mediums that come and perform. So originally it was, my passion project. I do performing arts, and particularly we produce sketch comedy shows with a sort of a social angle to them. But now we have all sorts of different live music. We have got an all ages punk show coming up this weekend. There's hip hop music that we host. We host dance troupes and belly dance and urban dance and just stuff that I didn't necessarily expect was just going to filter into the space, but it kind of just evolved there. And the very improv thing to say was yes and. Kind of my approach to my directorship at the Neighborhood Association. For Edison Jazz Fest, for instance, people came to me and said, they want to do this thing. And I was like, yes and this, and talk about how this can be a bigger, more culturally relevant thing.
Yeah. And how do you curate the talent? How do you find the talent that you present?
Some of it comes to me. Kalamazoo is such a great community for working artists. There's statistics on how it's the most affordable place for working artists to live and all of that. So it's really just that web of folks. You meet one person, and then the next thing you know, you've met another person. And I had somebody come to me recently saying, I want to start an open mic night. And I just said, sure, yeah, go ahead. Let's work together on that open mic night that you want to cultivate. I just find that a good leader just knows when to get out of the way. You're there to support, you're there to, to cheerlead and push and offer advice, maybe sometimes a shoulder to cry on, or, what you do is you say, yes, that sounds amazing. How can I help make that happen?
So what's your goal Like when you wake up in the morning, what gets you jazzed up?
Oh, so I advocate a lot for folks in the neighborhood. It's a little more serious part of the job. There is some disinvestment that's happened in the neighborhood for a long time. There are certain things that get me jazzed up about just quality of life things that are not being addressed or shoved under the rug. Obviously, art motivates me. I'm obviously a huge supporter of art. At the Dormouse, I do have the opportunity to produce our own sketch. I get to direct, I get to perform, and that's super fun. I forget how much I love it until I'm in it and I'm doing it.
Tell me a little bit about the Edison Jazz Fest. What's in store? What's the plan?
So Jazz Fest this year has all been brick and mortar sessions, and they've been doing that at the Clover Room. And so they're bringing in, they do like a Wednesday night jam pretty much every Wednesday, where they have somebody plays, and then other jazz musicians are welcome to come and jam after the performance. And then they're also bringing in some real great world-class talent every once in a while.
Stephen, thank you so much for talking with me here today and doing what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Support for Kalamazoo Lively Arts is provided by the Irving S. Gilmore Foundation, helping to build and enrich the cultural life of Greater Kalamazoo.